Hi, my name is Melissa King, and in this session, we will explore digital citizenship conversations with elementary learners. I am currently an instructional coach as well as a consultant for Designed for Learning. To access this presentation, you can simply type this shortened link into your web browser. In speaking about digital citizenship, we should remember that this idea is all about the norms of appropriate, responsible behavior with regard to all technology use. Talking about healthy usage patterns, I'm not going to read all of this, but this is one topic that we can address, is what is healthy in using technology as well as being off screen. And then also about safety and privacy, because some of that knowledge that we may have as adults, they don't have. Like just using your full name or not putting exactly the location that you're at. How to identify scammers, how to identify things that don't look right. Online etiquette and how that you and your body language might not seen, so your words can be misunderstood, and understanding that mindfulness and responsibility, as well as social activities and trying to balance social interactions is really important, because there's so much social activity on the internet these days, and how that can impact their future as they look for employment, which is hard to get our littles to actually understand. And then digital literacy. So that comes to things like knowing how to use your keyboard to type, knowing the basics of how to use things like Google Workspace. And so all of that is also very used in the classroom. And at some point, students have to become digital literate to some degree to be able to produce things in class and be successful. And then we have critical thinking as well. So thinking about the validity of things and not believing everything that's in front of our face just because it's on the screen, and understanding that many people can put things on a screen. One thing that you could do is just display a picture and have a classroom discussion. So if you really just need something simple, this is a good way to go about doing this. There is a Wakelet board, and I've posted the wakelet.com at Dr. K. Matson. She's created a lot of different resources to talk about. For example, that Titanic one, talking about when there's a crisis, people just get out their phone to record rather than jump in and help. But of course, with images, we really have to be careful about which grade we teach and what's appropriate. So what might be appropriate for a first grade classroom is not going to be necessarily the picture that you might choose for a fifth grade classroom. But we are still at elementary. So I will warn you that some of her resources I would not talk about until we have maybe like secondary level, but you can pick and choose from some of those. And it's as easy as throwing them on a slide like this, and maybe one day a week just discussing, what is this picture and what does this mean to you? And just leading them on a little discussion, maybe making a thinking map about the picture, and just having them be cognizant of what it says about digital citizenship and how it connects to their life. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is common sense media, and some of the lessons that you might be able to use with your students on this topic. So once that you have an account and you've signed in, under digital citizenship, there is actually a whole subtitle for our curriculum, and they have plans that are actually already created for you. So for example, quick activities for grades 5 through 8, right here, will give you some quick activities. And then there are many resources with SELs and videos and posters for your classroom, as well as student games, and then the age levels are over there. So let's take a look at some quick activities for elementary, grades K through 5, first of all. So these are actually pre-made, short, guided lessons that can instill digital citizenship. And so when we walk through the lessons, it's talking about reflect videos to watch, and usually there's an activity that goes along with it. And you'll see all the grades down here as well. And then the 10-minute digital passport games are further down. So I'm just going to click on third grade, where it talks about the power of words and the idea of cyberbullying, and just explaining what that is. So you'll see that it lays out for the teacher what you need, and it has links. So it says you're going to need this video. You're going to need this student handbook, which if you click on that, you actually get a copy that you can then use as partners, or maybe just you use the questions as discussion questions, or you print it as a worksheet. And then they also have the student handout in Spanish. So it walks you through the steps of introducing the topic, showing the video, and then leading a discussion with the class. It does have distance learning option, and then it has some answers to what might be some possible things with those discussion questions that students might say. So as you can see, it's quick, it's to the point, and it's made appropriately for the grade level. Every one of these grades has this layout, and these are, again, just quick lessons. Now, if you want to get a little bit more detailed and you go up to Digital Citizenship lesson plans, this is where you will come and you can actually filter all the lesson plans that they have for your grade. So let me now I'll click on 5th grade, apply, and there's lessons for 5th grade here. And if you want to pinpoint, because they have these sort of different topics or strands that they identify each of their lessons by. If you want to, for example, focus on privacy and security, you can click on that and you will get the privacy and security lesson itself. Let's say you really want to have this lesson because students are about to choose their own passwords. And so when you click on it, you're going to see the same type of layout where it actually has the learning objectives. This one, because it's not a quick lesson, it even has vocabulary. And then it tells you about how long this lesson will be with each part as well. And this lesson I've actually led before has a PDF, and you can use that and assign it to students on Google Classroom, so that way they can decide on what is credible and what is not, what's clickbait and advertising, because sometimes they're going to see those things pop up. Also, one amazing resource is family resources on this website. There's a family digital citizenship resource section, and what we find in education, I'm sure you found it too, is that a lot of students in school that are using technology, they don't necessarily have the tools as parents to know how to keep up with what their students are doing and learning through technology. And some of that awareness can really be helped if we involve the parent. So there's different resources here that you might want to explore, as well as some workshops that parents can go on here and take. And you might want to include this in one of your weekly newsletters if you have that. There's also professional development for educators. And so you'll see digital citizenship teacher training. Some of these you might really appreciate because it sort of takes you through how to teach this to our kids in this day and age. PBS also has some collected resources, and you can filter these by grade and resource type. So you can filter for lesson plans, and you can also filter by your grade. Not as well organized as some of the other options that we're going to go over today, but these might be something that you just display videos in your classroom and then have a quick conversation. So that is one, and if you click on that picture, you can get to that resource. But then this one right here is just a Google Sites put together, and it has a collection of elementary digital citizenship lessons. So it looks like this. And at the top, you can actually pick your grade. So even for kindergarten, they have this book that they recommend that you might want to pick up and use for your students. And then they do have things as you go along that you can print and use, or even just print one and use it for your little kindergarten class. For your littles, they even have a K through 2 digital citizenship contract where before that they use a device in class, students can talk about these responsibilities about being online. And so they actually have this contract. Maybe you blow it up on a big poster and have everyone sign. And then if someone breaks a rule, you go over that as you're learning the importance of digital citizenship. They also have videos and different things here for each grade, just like many of the resources do. So if you click above, then you'll get to the different things. They do utilize some of that common sense media as well, so you'll see sort of the same things that overlap, but then a few more other good resources. Take a minute to pause and play as you plan lessons to use with your students. To get to it, this is an amazing curriculum created by Google to keep kids smart, alert, strong, kind, and brave. So if you just click on that, this is very, very elementary friendly. And this has a game called Interland that you can play. And here's the game in a snapshot. I'm going to show you this game. This also has the same thing as the last one we looked at, that you can give families information. If you scroll down, you're going to see that you can download the curriculum, and you can either download all the curriculum or you can download the certain units. So for the curriculum, you can see it's 139 pages. These are actually pretty short lessons. This is an example of a lesson. So it tells you goals for students. So this one is all about privacy, and everyone deserves to have their privacy respected. There's a whole conversation under Let's Talk on each activity, telling you kind of how to lead the discussion. Now, of course, you can modify this and throw it into something like a Jamboard or a Google Slides. Actually, they have Google Slides, so I'm going to show you that in a moment. And then they have a quick activity. So it's super fast. So as an example, this one says, make up a secret. Make sure it's a pretend secret. And then you tell your partner the secret. Now you pair up and then you talk about these questions. Would you share the secret with anyone? Who would you share this secret with and why? And then how would you feel if somebody told everybody without your permission? So then there are some takeaways about tying the activity back to the idea of making a password and what to do to keep yourself safe. So then this is lesson 2, and it's following the same format in every lesson. If I scroll down here quickly, you're going to see that this is the first unit, and there's printouts for certain activities too, because some of them give you like a printout. Now, of course, you can just use this because you can use this as a PDF, or you can make this digital if you want to. But it goes from talking about privacy into talking about recognizing scammers and things that are fake in Unit 2. And so every unit, you'll notice, has different colors that match up with the game, and the color coding for me, I just love. They match up with this. So this being smart, being alert, being strong, being kind, and being brave. So those all match up. Now let's take a look at the game quickly here. So this is the game I already started play. I'm in the red one, which is all about scamming. So as you move through this, it'll pop up a question. So you get an email with a hilarious subject line that's obviously a scam. And so you have to choose, and they could just use their arrows on their Chromebook. either delete it and forget it, avoid clicking any links marked as spam, or LOL, forward it to a friend. So then they hit spacebar to select their answer to their question. And then it says 1 of 3 achievements earned. Think fast, your next question is on the clock. So then you're trying to build across this river to get to the other side as you go. And at the beginning, there was a little video, and it was talking about how there are scams all over, and you have to be careful to get across this river. So this is just one example of the game. I'm going to go ahead and close that. Now, something also that they have, you'll notice, is you can click on slides. There's actually presentations for your classroom that are already made that go with everything that's in the curriculum. So this is all the privacy unit, being internet smart. And when you click on right here, when not to share, you actually get to use Pear Deck and use what they have created. So they're using Pear Deck. And this is the unit 1, the blue unit. And you can go through and preview it, and then you can actually use this and save it to your drive. So as you can see, this is the same activity we just reviewed about telling a fake secret and then talking about those questions that the activity gave us. And then it just moves through what the lesson is. So it literally matches the lesson. So if instead of reading the lesson in that way, if you want to make it interactive for your kids, you can see that this is already done for you, and you can do this digitally, and it's a quick lesson. And then you can have your students take some time, maybe on Fridays, maybe not every day, to play the Interland game and tell them which color world that you're on and what you want them to go to. So just to let you know, the Be Internet Awesome program, it actually encompasses the ISTE standards, which the ISTE standards are the computer science and technology standards, if you're not familiar. So they're pretty popular among the technology world, and they're actually pretty rigorous for what they are to do with technology and how to tie it to the real world. Take a moment to plan for your classroom. One great resource is Nearpod, which has a blog post where they talk about Digital Citizenship Week, and they give you a link to many, many, many already created Nearpods that you can use in your classroom for classroom discussions with digital citizenship. So if you're familiar with Nearpod and you're leaning more towards that direction, you might want to check this one out. You'll see that the grade levels are here. So like this one's 5 through 12, 3 through 8. And Nearpod is awesome if you've never used it, because Nearpod actually works with you controlling the screen, or the students can have a self-paced lesson. So it builds in videos. So you can see this one starts on slide 1. This is a video. If you like the lesson, once you preview the lesson, you can add it to your lessons. If you hit teach, you can have a live participation where you control the screens. And you can also choose to have students complete it on their own, which is considered student paced. So all of these that they have, you can click on preview, and then you are able to preview the lesson, see if it's anything that you like. This one, you can see that it has questions as you complete it. So you'll be able to interact with students, not just have them watching a video alone, but doing something with it. So Nearpod is another great resource. So some other resources that you might like to have is, if you click on this image, you're going to get to something called WordWall. And WordWall has a lot of different things. You can actually type in something like math facts, And you can get, if you just type in MathX, you can get a lot of different activities that you don't have to create. They're already created. But when you type in digital citizenship, you'll see there are quite a bit of games that are already created on here for that. And some of them might be a good reinforcement to some of those lessons from Be Internet Awesome. And what WordWall is they have like matching games, but they also have spin me wheels games. So, like this one, it's just a spinner. So you can spin it and then have some review questions. But then you can also do like random cards, blocks. They have different kinds of games here. So if you search digital citizenship, you'll get all kinds of different games and you can review them. And then if you want to play them with your class, you can. So if you hit share, you can actually embed this link in Google Classroom or copy it, put it on your classroom stream, or get it for your students in whatever way that you use. So that way you can have them playing the one that you pick. So that is called Word Wall. The next activity that you might want to know about for digital citizenship is applied digital skills. So if you click on this image, then you will see it takes you to another program created from Google for Education. This is a little step up. If students have learned to be safe and be private and understand their voice and their digital footprint, these are sort of next steps. So as we can browse lessons, you're going to see that you can do this mainly late elementary and above. So once they get the basics of digital citizenship is when I would use this. So like if I click on late elementary, you're going to see that it says create a presentation all about a topic. So this actually will lead them through a lesson and it's teaching them how to use Google Slides. So when you can add this to your class and assign it to them. It tells you that it's going to take 45 minutes to 90 minutes. And if it's one of your first lessons, I'd go with the 90 minutes and know it's going to probably span for the week, a few minutes every day. When you hit start, this is paired with videos. Students will watch the videos, and then over here, there's instructions. So it has them sign into their Google account, create a new presentation, and rename it. So they're creating along with these videos. So instead of us teaching them how to use Google Slides, they get a good lesson about how to properly use Explore tools and the themes and insert an image. So that way they can actually learn, and the lesson's already there of how to use the tech. So when you assign your students lessons, you'll see I used to do this in my digital media class, and we actually ran it like a March Madness. So I had all kinds of lessons that I assigned, and then they got to choose, and we ran sort of a March Madness game with it, and the periods were competing. But if we click, you can see that there's a class code here, and that's the code I give them. So when they go to the student view, they can join my class, and once they do, then I'm able to see all the people in my class, just like on Google Classroom. So it keeps track of them under the People tab, as well as I can see who completed this activity here, this lesson. So when I hover over, it's actually going to tell me, it still tells me names, even though this has been a while ago. And then I can see which students completed it, which students have not at all, who's almost done. And I can also view quiz results, anything that they have submitted with it. And so all the lessons that I assigned to them are down here. So this is something else that Google created, but it's sort of that next step. Once we understand the basics of digital citizenship, this is your next step at how to, like, there's a lesson about understand your digital footprint, but it isn't as elementary. So if you're in upper grades, this might be a good next step for you. So the other thing, just for fun, when we talk about how to communicate online, I'm giving you this link of fake text messages. And so when you click on that link, you can actually create your own message. So you can give the name to the person that you are actually talking to on text. You can type your message and then you can add it. Then you can type the next one, put it in a different color. And so this one might be a fun activity to do with some of your students, just to see, to talk about how, as an example, like what if somebody said this, what would your response be? What if you got a random text that said this? What do we look for scammers? Or maybe just to demonstrate, how to properly speak with tone. And in your lesson where you talk about how that we're not noticing body expressions, and so it's important to pay attention to how your words might sound. Is it all caps? Did you use a bunch of exclamation marks? So this might be a good tool for teaching that. So that one's just kind of a fun part. So here's some actual examples. So you can talk about cyberbullying, great conversation starters, and just create fun text messages, maybe even to introduce content to your students. So I am just leaving you with those. And then here is, if you click on this, this is a digital citizenship Google Slides game. And it's just a resource that if you go over some of these things and then you want to use this to play a game in your classroom, you can. With the many resources we have gone over to discuss digital citizenship in your classroom, take some time to pause and play. Thank you so much for learning with me today about ways you can take this to your elementary learners.